My name is Elaine. I'm 49. And I used to feel seen, desired, like I mattered. It sounds silly when I say it out loud. But there was a time when the way Peter looked at me made my skin feel electric. Even after 10 years of marriage, we used to flirt at weddings I planned. He'd sneak up behind me, whisper something wicked into my ear while I arranged flowers, and I'd blush like I was 25 again. Now his hands land on my waist like he's setting a table. Methodical. Mindless. I lean in for a kiss and his lips press against mine, warm but empty, already turning back to his phone. He still calls me babe, but it feels like muscle memory. Not affection. It's not like he stopped trying, not really. He cuddles up at night, always bare-chested, always reaching. But lately, I've started turning my back to him, pulling the blanket higher, pretending to be half asleep. Not because I don't want him, but because I don't want this. Whatever this has become. There was a night last month, after his work trip to Boston, when I came downstairs in a satin robe. I'd made his favorite pasta, lit candles, even wore that perfume he once said made me smell like trouble. He kissed me, right there in the kitchen, but it didn't feel real. His hands were on my hips, but his eyes weren't really looking. I smiled, but my throat tightened. That was the night I felt it. Not rejection. Not distance. Just hollowness. Like we were going through the motions of something that used to mean everything, and now meant almost nothing. That was the moment I realized something had changed. And maybe it was me. Peter thinks that touching me solves everything. He came home last week after another long meeting, loosened his tie, and wrapped his arms around me from behind while I was chopping vegetables. His lips brushed the side of my neck, warm, soft, and I flinched. I covered it with a laugh. Careful, sharp knife. But that wasn't why I pulled away. What I wanted was for him to ask how my day was. To look me in the eye and really see me, not just my body, not just the routine of affection we've rehearsed 100 times. Peter's always been physical. It's his love language, I know that. He'd rub my feet after long weddings, draw me into a slow dance in the living room when Sinatra came on. That used to melt me. But now it feels like he's trying to connect with a woman who's no longer standing there. He doesn't see the difference. Or maybe he just doesn't want to. Last night, he reached for me in bed. No words. Just hands on my thigh, fingers under my shirt. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. Peter, I whispered. Can we just lie here? He paused, his palm resting heavy and unsure on my waist. I thought you liked when I held you like this. I do, I said, too quickly. I'm just tired. He turned away, and I heard it, that quiet exhale of disappointment. But how do I explain that I'm not tired of him? I'm tired of being touched when I feel invisible. He's not a bad man. He brings me coffee every morning, never forgets my birthday. But lately, every kiss feels like a cover for silence. Every hug, a plea I don't know how to answer. We're not fighting. But somehow, we're not talking either. It's the smallest moments that get to me. Like this morning, I was reaching into the cabinet for coffee filters, standing on my toes, and Peter walked by and slapped my butt playfully. It used to make me giggle. I used to turn around and kiss him back. But this time, I flinched. He laughed, like it was a joke. Still got it, he said. And I smiled, because what else do you do? But inside, I felt irritated. Not flattered. Like he only noticed the part of me that fits in his hand, not the part that's slowly unraveling. At dinner, he tried again. He poured me wine. He rubbed my shoulders. He kissed the back of my neck while I washed the dishes. And I stood there, stiff as the plate I was holding, not knowing how to respond. I want him. God, I do. But every time he touches me now, I wonder, is this about me, or is this about what he wants from me? Last weekend, we went to his colleague's birthday party. On the drive home, he leaned over at a red light and kissed me, deep and slow, like he was trying to recreate something. But I just sat there, lips moving with his, mind 1,000 miles away. I didn't feel anything. Not disgust. Not desire. Just, nothing. I used to crave his attention. Now I feel like I'm failing a test I didn't even know I was taking. When we got home that night, he reached for me the moment we walked in the door. My hands were still holding my clutch. "Peter," I started, and he froze. He stepped back, wounded. And all I could think was, why does everything have to turn into sex? It happened at the Italian place on Madison. The one with the little candles and wine bottles and the red and white checkered napkins. The same place we used to go when we were dating, when we couldn't keep our hands off each other, when we'd laugh until dessert and linger like the night was ours alone. We hadn't been in months. Peter booked the reservation without asking, said we needed a reset night. I wore a dark green dress he once said made my eyes look emerald. He told me I looked beautiful when I walked down the stairs, and for a second, I believed it. I smiled. Something fluttered. But then we sat across from each other in that booth, and it was like two strangers playing dress-up in memories. We talked about the food. The wine. The awkward way his boss tried to salsa at the office party. And then he reached across the table, took my hand, and said quietly, "I miss us." I don't know why, but my throat tightened. My vision blurred. I blinked hard, hoping it would pass. "I miss us too," I whispered. But my voice cracked. He squeezed my hand. "We'll be okay. We just need more time for each other. And maybe, more nights like this. More sex. More closeness." And that's when it snapped. I pulled my hand back like it burned. "It's not about more sex, Peter," I said, too loud. A couple turned toward us. My voice dropped. "You keep thinking you can fix this by touching me, but I need you to actually see me." He stared at me, stunned. "I'm trying, Elaine." "No. You're trying to get me back. Not hear me." His jaw clenched. "You're making it sound like I'm the enemy." I shook my head, tears threatening to fall. "No. You're just not the man I used to be able to talk to without feeling guilty." We sat in silence for a long time. He looked away, his shoulders tight, jaw working. And all I could think was, why did I wait so long to say that? Later, in the car, he didn't touch me. Didn't speak. I stared out the window, sick with guilt. Ashamed of the way my truth came out, not gentle, not thoughtful. Just broken. And maybe, too late. The silence after that night settled like dust on everything. We didn't fight. We didn't fix it. We just existed. Like roommates who used to be lovers. Peter didn't come to bed right away anymore. He stayed up later than usual, working in his office, scrolling through house renovation videos he never watched to the end. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the click of the bedroom door. Most nights, it never came. I missed him. God, I missed him. But I didn't know how to reach for him anymore. I'd walk into the kitchen while he was making coffee and hesitate before speaking, afraid that any small kindness would feel manipulative, or worse, hollow. Like I was trying to take it all back. He wasn't cruel. Just quieter. His eyes looked tired in the mornings. He still refilled my water glass at dinner. Still opened the car door. But everything felt mechanical, like we were playing characters in a marriage that used to mean something. I found myself watching him when he didn't know, the way his fingers tapped against his coffee mug while he read, the slow drag of his palm across his forehead like he was trying to rub away a headache that wouldn't leave. He looked older. Not in a way I could name. Just worn out. Dimmed. And I hated myself for what I'd said at the restaurant. But I also hated that it had taken so long to say it. I started journaling again. writing things I was too afraid to say aloud. Words like, lost, disconnected. I still love him, but I don't know if he still sees me. I don't know if I still see myself. One morning, I stood in the doorway of his office, watching him type, the glow of the monitor reflecting off his glasses. He looked up. For a second, neither of us spoke. I almost said, I miss you. Instead, I said, I'm thinking of taking a week off work. Maybe just stepping away. For a while. He nodded, slowly. Maybe that's a good idea. I waited for him to ask if I'd come back. He didn't. I didn't go far. Just a lakeside and a few towns over, one of those quiet places with peeling paint and handwritten breakfast menus. I needed to be somewhere still. Somewhere without him, and without me pretending I was okay. The first 2 days, I didn't check my phone. I didn't wait for him to call. I walked barefoot along the dock, listened to wind in the trees, cried into the sheets at night. It was ugly. Honest. I didn't even bother zipping my suitcase. On the 3rd day, the innkeeper knocked. You've got someone waiting downstairs. I froze. When I stepped into the lobby, Peter was standing by the fireplace, holding a bag of takeout from our favorite Thai place. Same brand of cardigan I once teased him about. Same nervous half-smile. I didn't come to talk, he said. I just thought you might be hungry. I wanted to fall into him. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat across from him at the tiny table in my room. We ate quietly. Shared pad CEW and spring rolls like strangers stuck in the same storm. And then he said it, softly, like it hurt to admit. You were right, you know. I don't listen the way I used to. I thought if I just touched you enough, you'd remember how we used to be, but maybe I should have asked what you needed now. I blinked. My heart thudded. Peter. He reached across the table, slow this time, no assumption in his fingers. Just warmth. I told you once that you were beautiful, he said. I think I forgot to show you why. His hand was rough, calloused. Familiar. I let him hold mine. That night, he didn't try to sleep with me. He just curled behind me on the bed, clothes on, breathing steady, his chest against my back. It wasn't sexy. It was sacred. There was no promise we'd be okay. No magic fix. But for the first time in months, I didn't feel alone in the silence. If you had told me 6 months ago that a single moment, one gentle, wordless night, could begin to undo years of quiet pain, I would have laughed. And yet, here I am. We're not perfect. We still misread each other. He still reaches for me when I need space, and sometimes, I still shrink from his touch when I don't mean to. But now, we talk. Or at least, we try to. I've learned something about love that I wish someone had told me earlier. Desire doesn't disappear all at once, it slips away slowly, unnoticed, under the weight of unfinished conversations, untended silence, and assumptions that affection means understanding. Peter didn't stop loving me. He just stopped seeing me the way I needed to be seen. And I stopped showing him the parts of me that were unraveling, because I didn't want to seem ungrateful, or needy, or dramatic. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I smiled enough, he'd remember the woman he used to chase across hotel beds and hold like a lifeline. But love isn't remembering who someone was. It's staying present with who they're becoming. That night at the inn, when he held me fully clothed and didn't ask for anything, I felt something shift. Not just in him, in me. It wasn't the touch that mattered. It was the stillness. The patience. The permission to just be. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a wife performing a role, or a woman losing herself. I felt seen. Not for how I looked. Not for what I gave. But for who I am. So yes. He told me I was beautiful. But more importantly, he showed me why. Not with flowers. Not with sex. Not with a grand gesture. but by showing up. By sitting in the silence with me, and not turning away. And I think, sometimes, that's what love really is. Not fireworks. But someone willing to stand still beside you when everything else inside is falling apart.